For years, life handled the scheduling for us. Work told us where to be, and family told us what needed doing. Appointments filled the calendar, deadlines kept us moving, and whether we liked it or not, life had a rhythm. And then one day, much of that structure just disappeared. And nobody hands you a manual called, "Congratulations, here's how to build an entirely new life." You're just expected to somehow know. I certainly didn't know. For most of our lives, we spend our time wishing for more of it. More time for ourselves, more time for our hobbies, more time to finally do all of those things we kept saying we'd get to someday. And then one day, if we're lucky, that someday actually arrives. And suddenly we find ourselves with something we haven't had in decades, a surprising, slightly disorienting amount of time. Not having to rush out the door every morning, wonderful. Savoring that second cup of coffee, downright luxurious. And nobody questioning your decision to eat cereal for supper. But here's what I've discovered. The hardest part of having more time is figuring out what to do with it, or learning to be perfectly okay with doing absolutely nothing. I thought complete freedom would feel like a permanent vacation. Turns out complete freedom can be a little overwhelming, because when there are endless possibilities, your brain starts firing off endless questions. Should I move? Should I stay? Should I travel? Should I volunteer? Should I start a business? Should I have figured all this out by now? It's funny, isn't it? When we're busy, we dream about freedom. And when we finally get it, we sometimes miss having a little structure. I've come to think that structure was never really the enemy. The challenge is simply learning to create our own rhythm instead of having one handed to us. And that, it turns out, is a skill, one that takes time to learn. I've learned that not every day needs to be productive. Some days doing absolutely nothing is exactly the right call. A quiet day, a nap, a good book. Those things matter more than we give them credit for. But I've also learned that doing nothing every day isn't usually the answer either. Most of us need a reason to get up in the morning. Not a huge reason, not some grand world-changing purpose. Sometimes all we need is one thing we're excited about, one thing we're curious about, one thing we're looking forward to. Maybe it's a gardening project, or maybe it's learning a new craft or hobby. And maybe it's finally figuring out that mysterious button on your phone that you've been avoiding for 3 years. The point isn't what it is. The point is that it gives the day a little spark. And sometimes a little spark is enough to make us feel alive again, and even to fight off those feelings of loneliness that may creep in. We all know there's a difference between being alone and being lonely. And many of us genuinely enjoy being alone. The peace and quiet, the freedom to think our own thoughts. That's independence, and it's wonderful. Loneliness is something else entirely. It's disconnection. And as we get older and our world gets smaller, sometimes all it takes is one little spark of interest or curiosity that can lead us to activities that enlarge our day just a little bit. So you don't actually go the entire day without hearing the sound of your voice. Joining a book club or a quilting club, or even just going for a walk where you know you'll see people and you'll have to say hello. Just a little nudge. I always hoped I'd get older. I think when we reach middle age, we realize that not everyone is given that gift of getting older. But I just never imagined that I'd actually age. You know what I mean? When I was younger, old age seemed like something that happened to other people. And now I occasionally catch my reflection and I think, Who is that woman and why is she wearing my face? And why does she look exactly like my Bopsha did? There is nothing quite as humbling as having to edit your face for a few hours a week, frame by startling frame, and realize that what you have always believed you looked like and what you actually do look like are very different things. Talk about a reality check. But aging has genuinely taught me things. The biggest one, replacing attitude with gratitude. Not because life is perfect, it isn't. And not because every day is wonderful, it isn't either. But because gratitude helps us notice what's already here and what we do have. A sunny morning, a good friend, a healthy day, two kittens who never fail to make me smile. Little things are so easy to overlook, and yet somehow they're often the very things that make life the most meaningful. There is still so much I don't know, which at this stage of life is honestly a bit embarrassing, but this is my first time being almost 62. I'm still figuring it out, same as everyone else. Keeping an open mind has made life more interesting. Being curious is far more enjoyable than being certain all the time. And being wrong occasionally, well, that builds character. At least that's what I tell myself. One of the real gifts of this stage is that we finally get to ask different questions. Not what do I have to do, but what do I actually want to do? And what can I learn? And what gifts do I still have to share? Because I truly believe we're here to use our gifts to create, to contribute, to connect, to share what we've learned, not because we need to prove anything, and certainly not because we need applause, but because it feels good to participate in life. And if we can't share and have relationships with people, then what's it all about? And yes, even though we know better, it's hard not to compare ourselves sometimes. Someone is more talented, someone has a bigger following, someone has a better garden, a cleaner house, and better knees. There will always be someone who does something better than we do. Always. I used to say a phrase to my daughter when she was a teenager and feeling frustrated with herself. It would definitely result in at least an eye roll and sometimes even a slam door. It was this: nobody is good at everything, but everyone is good at something. This phrase infuriated her, but I couldn't help saying it. It makes me laugh now when I think of it, and I think it makes her laugh now too. And I bet one day she'll find herself saying it too. The point is, we have to do what we can with what we have, where we are, and not let perfect become the enemy of good. A good walk beats the perfect exercise plan you never start. A phone call beats the perfect letter you never write. A small project beats the brilliant dream that never leaves your imagination. We can't worry that what we do won't be good enough. We just have to bite the bullet and do it. And speaking of worry, which is something I'm very familiar with, over time I've learned that most of the things we worry about never actually happen. We spend so much energy borrowing trouble from tomorrow. What if this? What if that? What if everything goes sideways? Sometimes things do go sideways, but most of the time they don't. And when they do, we deal with it, just as we've dealt with every other challenge that life has thrown at us, because we're pretty good at that, actually. This stage of life may look different than what we imagined, but different isn't worse. Sometimes different turns out to be the best thing that ever could have happened. And maybe that's the real secret to having more time, not filling every minute and not finding the perfect purpose, not figuring everything out. Maybe it's simply learning to appreciate this life and the time we've been given, one ordinary, beautiful day at a time. If any of this resonated with you today, I'd love to hear about it in the comments. And if you're new here, welcome. I'm so glad you found this little channel. I so appreciate you spending your time with me. Until next time, take care.